Hi, my name is Dylan Brown, and the title of my study is Comparing the Effects of a 2D Visual Stimulus versus a Vocal Prompt on Learning to Stop Walking and Stay with an Adult for a Child with Autism. When out in public, it's really important for young children to stay close to their caretakers, whether it be their mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, or whoever it may be, because there are many potential risks that could come into play um, when a child wanders off by themselves. I researched whether vocalizing stop or using a 2D visual stimulus of a stop sign would increase the amount of times Johnny stops walking and stands next to the person he is with. Johnny, which was my participant, is 4 years and 6 months old, and in January of 2022, he received a medical diagnosis of autism. His most recent hearing test indicated partial hearing loss, which was very interesting to note. Johnny currently has a strong listener response skill set when it comes to motor movements such as clapping, waving, knocking without any prompts needed, but he can be a high elopement risk, which makes this stopping skill even more valuable for him. In 2020, Karina Morales' research showed greater skill acquisition using pictorial cues rather than vocal cues, and in 2008, Elizabeth West's research showed both pictorial and vocal prompts were beneficial in skill acquisition. This gives me the reason to believe that vocal or a 2D stimulus picture prompt would be most beneficial for Johnny. I used an alternating treatment design, which helped me compare the two interventions to determine which one would be more effective. The two independent variables that were tested was the 2D visual stimulus of a stop sign and the verbal prompt of stop. The dependent variable was to stop walking and stand with the adult. Data was collected using pen and paper and was later recorded and stored in a secured laptop with passwords. Correct trials on the datasheet were marked with a plus sign, and incorrect trials were marked with a minus. Baseline began with us going on a walk down the hallway and randomly stopping to see if Johnny would continue to walk or stay next to the adult. Once interventions began, 3 trials were ran each day, rotating every other day between the vocal prompt and the 2D visual prompt. The 2D visual was flashed whenever the adult had randomly stopped walking, and then with the vocal prompt, it was prompted stop whenever the adult stopped walking. During baseline, there were no successful trials that were run. This was expected as this is a new skill that was being taught. With intervention, there was intermittent success with the 2D visual prompt at the beginning and none with the vocal prompt when we first started off. As we continued on with the trials, the 2D prompts continued to show intermittent success until the very end, until we were able to have 100% across all trials. The 2D visual, the vocal prompt had no successes towards the beginning and continued to have intermittent success throughout the entire duration of all of the trials. By looking at the graph, you can see we took the looking at the graph, you can see that the 2D visual stimulus was the best intervention that was run. So we took that for the next 3 days and ran more trials to show that as the final best, as 100% trials across all. With indication of partial hearing loss, it's no surprise that the 2D visual stimulus was the intervention that had the most successes, while the vocal prompts only had intermittent successes. It was interesting to see some of the intermittent success with the vocal prompts, as he has a strong listener response skill set. The implications of this study should be lasting on Johnny's life. and that it should increase his awareness of his own safety and that he needs to be staying next to the adult that he's with whenever they're out in public settings. This is going to help him stay safe um, for the majority of his life. Um, there were some limitations that I ran into when running this study. I would definitely try and set up trials in different locations in order to show true generalization across the skill. Maybe even in like a public setting as well too. That would give him the opportunity to show true mastery. Um, it would be pretty neat to fade out the prompts eventually and get to the point where Johnny would be able to go on a walk and stay with the adult the entire time without any prompts needed. Hi, my name is Dylan Brown.